Official VGO videos.
Mitch Markowitz was the co-producer of the iconic Hilarious House of Frightenstein TV show, as well as appearing in all of the 130 episodes as a character named Super Hippie. The show was originally taped at CHCH TV in Hamilton, Ontario in 1971. The program starred Vincent Price and went on to be the longest-running kids' TV show in Canadian history. Syndicated throughout Canada, the US, and abroad. Although aimed at children, the program aired opposite Johnny Carson's Tonight Show in some US markets, drawing higher ratings among the college crowd in California and various other regions. Canadian-born Hollywood heavyweight Mike Myers attributes Frightenstein as an inspiration for his Austin Powers Maxi-Me, Mini-Me characters, and rock and roll icon Alice Cooper claims the Hilarious House of Frightenstein is his favorite TV show. Mitch most recently appeared in Rue Morgue, cinema's horror/supernatural film The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Leigh, co-starring with Academy Award winner Vanessa Redgrave. The film premiered at the 2012 Cannes Film Festival, going on to win numerous awards at 30-plus film festival worldwide. I had the privilege of speaking with Mitch Markowitz at the Forest City Comicon on Sunday, October the 19th, 2014.
In the Fan Expo I did in Toronto, there were 120,000 people at that one.
Fantastic. Yeah, it certainly is a great place. It's a great place for geeks everywhere to collect and to share their love for the comic books and science fiction.
Absolutely.
Tell me, Mitch. I've done some research on your show. You know, I grew up with your show. But tell me, how did you start off with the idea for the Hilarious House of Frightenstein? How did you start off with the concept?
Well, we had a client. We knew CHCH had a void in their afternoon programming, and they didn't have a good, strong kids show. So we sat down and sort of put some ideas together. We thought a sort of pseudo-horror show would work well. And we went and pitched that idea to Sid Bibby, who was the general manager of CHCH. And he sort of liked the idea, but he wasn't totally sold. So we went back and thought about it for a couple more days. Went back to Sid and said, if we could get a real international movie star to host the show,
yes,
what would you think? And he said, well, like Ruth. And we said, well, like Vincent Price. And he said, you know what, if you could get Vincent Price to host this show, I'd buy 130 episodes this afternoon. So we shook hands, we papered the deal. Then all we had to do was go out and get Vincent Price, because we didn't have him at the time. So we went out and got in touch with Vincent and told him what we were doing, and he'd never done a kids show before, long before he did Thriller with Michael Jackson.
Right, remember that?
He'd never done a show in Canada, and we offered to pay him, which is always a nice inducement.
Yeah.
The rest is history. He came in, he hosted all 130 episodes. We've now been on for 44 years, Canada, through the US and abroad, and the show is now iconic. It's the longest running kids TV show in Canadian history.
I remember watching that show. It sent a lot of chills. It was kind of creepy and funny. I love when Vincent Price did his poetry at the beginning of all the skits. Tell us a little bit more about Billy Van. I know he did the Count Frightenstein, the librarian, and he also had his friend Igor. I love those characters.
Before I do that, I'll tell you about, you just mentioned Vincent Price and showing all the segments.
Sure.
We wrote all 130 segments for Vincent Price to do the intros, went into the studio, and we did about 10 minutes worth of taping. My brother was directing the show. He was in the booth directing it. I was sort of lying on the floor right below Vincent Price. And I'd hand him up a prop for whatever bit we were doing next that I thought was appropriate. About 10 minutes in, my brother called us out and said, Vincent, Mitch, we have to meet for a minute. Came out on the floor and said, Vincent, you're just not scary. We hired you to be scary.
Oh, wow.
And Vincent Price said, listen, if you want scary, you have to write scary. The stuff you wrote for me is cute, it rhymes, it's sweet, it ain't scary. So we went back to Toronto, got the two writers we had for that particular segment, locked them in a room and said, you have to rewrite all 130 Vincent Price episodes. Until then, no food, no bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
24
Ultimatum.
hours later, bang, bang, bang on the door. We let them out. They went to the bathroom. We gave them something to eat. They were done. They'd rewritten all the episodes. And again, the rest is history. They wrote scary stuff. Vincent Price read it scary.
Oh, yes.
And to this day, I get emails and messages from people who say, you know what? I was so scared. I hid behind the sofa and listened to the show, but I couldn't watch it. It was too scary, especially the librarian.
The master of macabre.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Get back to your question.
Yeah, to tell us again, Vincent Price, a beloved icon. I adore his horror monster movies, and this was like the cherry on the ice cream for me. Tell us a little bit more about Billy Van and his wonderful incarnations on the show. How you met him.
Billy was unbelievable. He was the single most talented celebrity I have ever worked with. In the beginning, we started off with him being Count Frankenstein.
Right.
And then we'd come up with another idea for, let's say, the Wolfman, and we'd mention it to Billy, and he'd say, the Wolfman? I can do that. And he'd turn around, turn back around 20 seconds later, and he did the Wolfman.
Wow.
And he was the Wolfman.
Shapeshifter.
We'd come up with another idea for, we wanted some educational components to the show.
Yes.
So we had to pass the CRTC regulations.
Of course.
We came up with Bawana Clyde, who was going to introduce a different animal every day. And we told Billy about it. Next thing you know, he turned around. A minute later, he turns back around, and he's morphed into Bawana Clyde. He was Bawana Clyde.
The explorer, right?
Just one after another after another. So eventually, he played everything on the show, except, of course, Igor, who he had to be 350 pounds to weigh him.
Yeah.
The little guy, who had to be 31 inches high to make that bill. My part, which was super heavy, and the professor, Joey
I learned a lot of physics from him.
He was great.
Very smart.
We originally found him on the Johnny Carson show. He used to be a guest every once in a while on Carson's show. And we thought, he's funky, he's interesting, he looks like he would fit into the castle.
Yeah, like a mad scientist.
We got in touch with him, and he said, sure. He flew up, and there went the professor said.
Fantastic.
I was listening to the radio, by the way, on the car a couple of days ago, and there's a pizza restaurant that will remain nameless in the pizza chain in Toronto. And they're running radio commercials now. And when their commercial comes on the air, they have a sound effect that is very similar to the sound effect we used for the professor segments.
Oh, yes.
And then a guy comes on, a voiceover comes on saying, I am the professor, and I'm going to show you how to stretch your pizza dollar.
Oh, wow.
It's a straight copy from Frightenstein.
The exact idea.
Yeah.
And we love that beloved music also, the March of the Martians.
Yeah.
It was a synthesizer. It really helped the mood.
Yeah, the music was great in the Canadian version, but evidently someone forgot to get the clearance rights for the music.
Oh.
Excuse me. So when they did when the show got sold, when the show got sold throughout the United States, they had to redo the music because nobody was watching in Canada, but in the U.S. they were right on top of it.
All right.
So they had to replace the music with music they could actually get the rights to.
Well, Billy, Mr. Markowitz, thanks so much for taking the time. Is there anything else you want to mention before we go?
The only thing I would mention is a little bit of star power, if you will.
Yes, sure.
Everybody knows who Mike Myers is.
Oh, of course.
And
Wayne's World.
Mike Myers was kind enough to give credit where credit was due, and he didn't have to. He's such a big star; he could have just taken all the credit. But he's a Canadian. He's from Toronto.
Yes. He's a good actor.
When he was given the key to the city by the mayor, he took a minute to say, you know what? I have to give credit where credit's due. At that time, Frightenstein was running from 4 to 5 in the afternoon. And he said he used to come home after school. His mom would give him a plate of cookies and a glass of milk, and he'd watch Frightenstein for an hour. And then when he grew up and became a producer, and he was doing the Austin Powers movies, he incorporated the Mini-Me and the Maxi-Me. He got that from Igor and the Little Count.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and he was good enough to give us the credit for it.
That was good that he did that.
Alice Cooper, at a lot of his concerts, tells the audience that he grew up watching the show. To this day, Hilarious House of Frightenstein is his favorite TV show.
Nice.
And it just sort of, goes on and on. I was chatting with Adam West, the original Batman TV, while I was talking to him at the last Fan Expo. His manager was standing next to him. He said, I grew up watching your show. I watched it every day. I I loved it. And he was watching on WABC in New York. Last little bit of trivia. We ran in different markets at different times. KTLA in Los Angeles bought the show.
Oh, wow.
They chose to run it from 11:30 to 12:30 at night. So we were up directly against Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. And more often than not, Frightenstein had higher ratings than Johnny Carson. Because we drew a big college audience. So the college kids were all getting stoned at 11 o'clock at night.
I love watching it when they're in that frame of mind.
And it was a much better watch for them than the staid, sophisticated Tonight Show.
Of course. Well, Mr. Markowitz, tell the audience, perhaps the audience who are fresh and new to the show, or young, have had the opportunity, like I have to seen it. Can we buy these shows, episodes on DVD and Blu-ray?
Sure. As a matter of fact, I'm now talking at these Comicons and other live engagements with 3 generations of Frightenstein fans. The original folks who watched the show when we did it in 1970, their kids who watched the reruns in the 90s, and their grandkids who are now watching it on, the answer to your question, DVD, which is readily accessible. You can get it on HMV and Amazon and all over the place.
Wonderful.
We're also on Netflix and on YouTube. There are full episodes on YouTube. Anybody who wants to see it, just go to Hilarious House of Frightenstein. And then if you want to see me personally, on YouTube, Hilarious House of Frightenstein, super hippie, and next thing you know, I'll be flying by and screaming.
I'm gonna rush to the stores to get those, folks. You heard it. Get your copy right away. Thanks so much, sir. It's been a wonderful pleasure to talk to you.
Good meeting you. Good luck with your show.
You entertain my childhood. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Good meeting you.
Thanks.
You are watching official VGO videos. Acifin network partner. Gaming videos for videogamersoasis.com. You are watching official VGO videos. Acifin network partner. Gaming videos for videogamersoasis.com.